Hello and welcome to the Pascal Siakam episode of the Hoop.43 podcast, aka episode 43. My name is Logan Wertman, and joining me as always is my good friend, Jacob Roth. Jacob, how's it going?
It is going fantastic.
Yeah?
It's one of those, so like ranking times of the year, I'm going to put all sports in the same category. Free agency of all sports is like, I put it above the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals week. Like, obviously, if my team's playing, it's like a little different, but like just in general. But the free agency is so fun because of like what it lets your brain do, and it's just like this is like 2K. It's wild.
Yep, and it's like happening constantly. There's so much of it. It's
There's
like
just a
Christmas.
Yeah, no, it's an elite time of year to be a sports fan. I feel like it's crazier than it used to be because I feel like 10 years ago, all free agencies weren't as crazy as they are now. But now you've got craziness. And we'll break down this new CBA free agency because this is the first one that's really seen the effects of I'm just going to call it the very owner-friendly NBA collective bargaining agreement. I feel like it allows more guys. Anyway, we can talk about that later. But anyway, it's the first one. It's exciting. I'm doing great. The news was wild. And almost America's birthday. Greatest nation on the planet.
That is very true. Very true. So I guess deciding on where to start, for those who don't know, this is Sunday, so this is day 3 of free agency. I haven't looked at if anything's happened so far today.
The only thing I think could be a good intro, but we have to do our proper intro.
I already did it.
You did? I missed it? My brain just shut off?
I asked you, how's it going? And that's how you started talking about what you started talking about.
Oh, I just totally forgot about the spicy pea love.
Yeah, Pascal Siakam.
Or, what were the Doherty?
Brad Doherty, yep.
Doherty.
Yep.
Doherty, whatever. Hardy. And then what was the other 42? Jack Sigma. Anyway, I guess the only thing that I've seen is Dame. The Trailblazers are reportedly not going to just like give him his exact wishes and send him to Miami if they're going to lose the trade.
Yeah, okay. That's
I feel like that's like a no
good decision. Yeah,
that's like it seems like a no duh, but it seems like an official report as of today. And if we're just going to start on the Dame side, does that work?
Yeah.
One thing I find extremely interesting is the parallels between Damian Lillard and Russell Wilson in the NFL. Because Russell Wilson was this good guy, played in Seattle, didn't want to be the
Northwest, yeah.
I guess I didn't think of that even. That's further down the rabbit hole. But like I should have described an NFL player and then told you which NBA guy this reminds you of, but like wanted to be the nice guy, loved his market, didn't want to make a big fuss when he wanted to get out of the market, tried to make the team look like the bad guy, and then after years of it happening, he finally was like, I would like to play somewhere else, and tried to do it as nice as possible, and did all these facades where he just really wanted to be gone. He didn't want to be there anymore. That's what Russell Wilson did, ended up in Denver, and it's exactly what Damian Lillard's doing, but he's not going to end up in Denver. So that's
probably not.
If he does, I feel like that would be a loss for the Nuggets.
Yeah, probably.
Like, in the future, because they have a couple years lined up where things could go very well for them. Anyway, so I just thought that was an interesting parallel that I saw. Like, both of them loved their markets, kind of a smaller market. Both their markets were.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be the bad guy. They kind of like took multiple years of like they just dealt with it for a couple of years, waiting for their team to do something, and like passively aggressively were like, hey, come on. And then eventually they just were done and were like, I would like to.
Yeah.
But he was so respectful to wait and see what they did for the first couple days of free agency because being the nice guy that he is.
Yeah. In the Russell Wilson parallel in his situation, was there a detail of like the team drafting a player that was kind of like it kind of made it hard to fit stylistically with him? Like, drafting another quarterback or something?
No. But the team didn't like give him not as bad as Aaron Rodgers, but like they never gave him an offensive line. But I will defend the offensive line of the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson in Seattle, the way that he played and moved around, one of the hardest style of quarterbacks to block for ever. because he's not Lamar Jackson elusive enough that he can like run out of the pocket and do crazy stuff. He was good, but he wasn't Lamar Jackson level. But he wasn't so sit in the pocket that like
so his pocket was essentially bigger. It was a bigger area for
and
the
that's
blockers
hard to
to
block
cover.
for.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so yeah, and so no, there wasn't like a we drafted your replacement, figure it out.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Dame thing. Let's say they get Brandon Miller instead. I feel like Dame still asks to be gone.
Really?
I in my parallel saying that they're the same person, which they're totally not. But like in the parallel, it's been boiling. How many years have we heard Dame talks? 4, 3?
But I don't know if any of that was him saying anything. There's been people saying, "Oh, people, Dame needs to get out of Portland and stuff like that." Yeah.
But yeah, I think he did it in terms of his legacy in Portland. It happened in the best way possible. I don't think Portland fans are going to be mad at him with how all of these things that he's done.
I mean, look at how Rockets fans still love James Harden, even though that was like the worst way you could possibly screw over your franchise.
Which is crazy. And he's probably not going to be back because of how the Rockets have spent money. But for a long time, people thought he was just going to be back. And Houston would have been, sure. I think it was the Bill Simmons podcast. He had a guest on that was like, I've never seen a fan base defend a player that doesn't play for their team anymore. Like Rockets fans defend James Harden. Like I would post something about Philly and I would get like attacked by Rockets fans for disrespecting James Harden's new team. And I'm just like, that's true. That's a fact of life. He just was Houston loved him, and I don't think he loved Houston, but in their head he did. So it's a crazy deal. But yeah, the Dame thing is an interesting dynamic that could really, really shake up things, and also could really, really not, depending on like Miami is the team that everybody's talked about. Like if Miami has to give up too much, and they've already lost some pieces that I think people are sleeping on. Granted, Dame would like the Gabe Vincent being gone. Dame would fill that hole. Like he wouldn't be like, oh no, what do we do with our point guard spot? Like he would have a solution, but I feel like if you lose too much as the Heat, it won't be enough to counteract, and it could just be interesting. But what was your in your brain? You close your eyes. You are the Portland GM. What package do you want back for Dame? Is it young assets? Is it a star?
I would say young. I mean, they just locked themselves into a 5-year Jeremy Grant deal, so I don't know if they made that. I guess I don't know the timeline on that. Yeah, I can't remember.
Jeremy Grant signed first, but who knows what was behind the doors of if Dame told them, hey, I would like to not be a Portland Trailblazer next season. I won't say anything publicly until you get a couple days in so you can use me as bait for people to sign. I don't know. But
I guess with the salary floor thing, signing that Jeremy Grant contract, even if you are rebuilding and getting young players, makes a lot of sense too.
Because you need to have
enough. I think it's like 120, either 120 or 180.
You need to use up your money.
Yeah. Or else you get heavily taxed and penalized.
Almost, isn't it worse than going high?
I think it is, just because it has to counteract the fact that you're saving money by not spending it. It has to cost more for you to spend below the floor than it were to if you were inside the barrier.
I think what type of just a nightmare scenario the Suns would have been in with Sarver. Just saving money's his thing. Oh yeah, I'll give you this first round pick for money.
Yeah.
Granted, the Suns team now will have no struggle hitting the bottom line. I think that 4 players, they hit the bottom line. But,
I think that's pretty easy at this point. But so I think Portland would probably try to go young. I don't see them trying, especially in this mega competitive West that is building out right now. I don't think that retooling on the fly right now and trying to take on players to win now, that's not the move right now. Because just looking at the standings, are the Spurs going to be the worst team next year? And they don't seem like they'll be bad.
If they're the worst in the West is scary.
Yeah, it's hard to find a team that you're oh yeah, they're going to be bad. And
I would also argue that there's going to be the Nuggets on a tier. Then the next tier is the Lakers, because they've done a lot of good things in free agency that I have liked.
And
prices they got guys back, the new guys they brought in. I am shout out to.
They very well could have been the second best team in the league last year come playoff time. Like they could have been.
When you saw the Lakers playing at their best, I think they were the second best team in the NBA, second or third. They were where they ended up in the playoffs in the Western Conference Finals.
Makes sense.
Makes sense when they played at their best. We just saw a lot of their not best.
And a totally different looking roster as well.
But then I feel like there's an argument that Portland's going to be the worst when Dame's gone.
Yeah, I think that would be the clear winner of that race.
Yeah. So but then it's going to be like Nuggets and then a couple teams on that second tier, and then I think it's a bit of a gap. But then it's like a lot of every team will be fighting for a play-in spot. That 10 play-in spot. I would not be shocked if every team is kind of in that ballpark, because I think Houston sneakily got a lot better.
They're definitely better. Yeah,
it's not sneaky. They paid a lot of money to get better, but So I think there's just a lot of things that West is going to be extraordinarily competitive. But anyway, there's a couple teams that I think got better quietly. Cleveland's a team where I liked Max Strus. I didn't love that they lost Osman.
Yeah,
but they got Karis LeVert came back. Then they also got Niang, the minivan.
Yeah.
So
I definitely what they were looking for this offseason was, the same thing that all of us analysts, if I can call myself that, had been talking about what they needed, which was like at the 3 spot, somebody who can knock down corner threes or you just reliably stretch the floor and shoot.
And they found a couple.
Yeah. So they got Max Strus and George Niang, which that's both of their best skills.
Yep.
Osman is definitely more of a slashing player. He became a little bit more consistent from outside last year because he had to play that role, but
and he's in Miami now. No,
where's he? He's in San Antonio. It's a 3-team trade.
Okay. Yeah. I guess not pause necessarily, but I'm just how do we want to, we touched on Dame. Do you want to finish your Dame thing? Because we kind of went off the rails. There's just like a lot of things. Like my favorite contract of the entire free agency so far is probably not even that big of a deal. I just like it because of the value.
Yeah. Okay.
How do we want to approach?
I'll just say this last thing about Dame about if he goes to Miami, that definitely will shake things up. I think that would be a huge value add for them, obviously. Seeing as, Eric Spoelstra seems to take whatever roster he's given and do something with it. If he's given a star like that, somebody who can be like, he's not necessarily, I wouldn't say he's definitively better than Jimmy Butler, but he plays more of that number one option type of role more than Jimmy does. Jimmy's impact on the game isn't really specifically that unless when he's at his very best, he's able to tap into that. But
the consistent best part of Jimmy is being that second guy that explodes for a couple minutes and then becomes that second guy again.
Yeah.
So giving them a true ice in my veins, I'm number one, to let Jimmy Butler be the side guy until he wants to be number one and knows Dame will know when to let him take over.
Yep.
Because he knew when to let CJ McCollum take over when he needed to. You know what I mean? So that's a duo of players that'll be really fun to watch.
Yeah. And Jimmy just playing a role that I think he's ideal for, which is really locking in on the defensive end, which he already does, but doing that even more, being able to spend more energy on that end. And then also, still driving, attacking closeouts on offense, stuff like that. Just not having to create in every possession in the pick and roll like he's had to. And he's a really good playmaker as well. So you don't need to ride Dame as the primary ball handler all the time if teams are really trying to pressure, like how his issue in Portland was a lot of times, teams would trap him as soon as he entered the half court, basically, to get the ball out of his hands. If he's on the Heat, that's a much harder thing to accomplish, as a defense against the players that they have there with, once you trap Dame, he's either passing it off to Bam or Jimmy. And those guys are both really good playmakers, can make that extra swing because now that the defense is, there's a 4-on-5 essentially, or a 3-on-4 really, then they can, find the gap in the defense and see where guys are slow to rotate and get an open shot. Both those guys are really high Q in that department. They didn't really have any playmaker like that alongside Dame. CJ is definitely the better, probably the best playmaker that he's had as a teammate. And that's definitely not one of CJ's like main strengths. So yeah, it'll just be a different look. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, that's the Dame stuff. I don't know if he'll go to the Heat, I guess, because of what we just said about Eric Cronin, I think is the GM there. Probably not going to just lose the trade, no matter how much Dame wants to go to Miami. So we'll see some other teams. I'm sure Daryl Morey is going to be placing some bids, trying to get a shot at securing Damian Lillard. Maybe that involves a Harden trade as well, because he's the other guy who requested a trade, but we'll get into that in a second. Jacob, what was that contract that you were just alluding to before that is your favorite of this offseason?
Jakob Poeltl.
Mm-hmm.
Poeltl, not Poeltl. Poeltl, my bad. Jakob Poeltl for $20 million a year. That's the same money that Dylan Brooks is getting.
Yep.
It's a little bit less than Draymond. Granted, Draymond's obviously, but like that's just a nice, quiet. It's 4 years, and if he's had some struggles with injuries, so you haven't seen like him, but he's a player I love.
Yeah.
What he does, and it's unfortunately going to be on a Toronto team that might not do a whole lot. That one, and then also, was no one willing to pay Seth Curry more?
That shocked me.
That one blew my mind. Unless it's a prove-it contract, but just do a 1 year then.
Well, I think he has a player option on the second year.
Okay, because I'm like,
so.
It's like, what was it for? It was
4.5, I think, $4.5 million per year.
4.6. So yeah, I'm like, what?
That's less than the mid-level. Yeah, I was surprised
Milton's
with that.
Making more than that.
Yep. Yeah, I was really surprised because I was thinking, I wanted him on the Nuggets, obviously, and I was hoping we would be able to get him on the mid-level. But my holdback there was like, oh, what if he doesn't sign for the mid-level? Like, what if he goes for more? Yeah,
not less.
He ended up going for less. Yeah, that really surprised me. Yeah,
and then Mo Wagner's the older one.
Wagner, yeah, Mo Wagner.
Wagner, whatever. I suck. But no, there were some contracts where I was like, really? That's interesting. Like, I will say 3 names, and they're all making the same per year, and it's Trey Jones.
He's 2 for 10, right? Or no, 2 for 20?
2 for 20.
Yeah.
And then 2 for 10 would be a bargain.
Yeah.
For him. And then the other one was Joe Ingles is at 11.
The Magic, yeah.
Yep. Gabe Vincent also at 11, but for 3 years.
I thought you'd get more than that, honestly.
I did too. But then the Bulls just had to be like, hold up, let's be a little bit stupid. Kobe White for
13
11?
or 11?
No, it's 11 year, 33. It's the identical contract to Gabe Vincent. Respectfully, I don't know what world those two players are the exact same value.
Yeah,
that's crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably more of a bet on him becoming that, I guess.
He's had 4 years to figure it out, 3 years to figure it out, and he hasn't at all.
Yeah, but the past several years he's been behind. He's been behind guards in the rotation. Now that Lonzo Ball is out for yet another season, which is another topic we could talk about.
Yeah.
Then he's going to have more opportunity. And Dragic is just continuing to get older, so like there's just more opportunity for him this next season.
And repetitions are just opportunity, reps, minutes, whatever is how you get better. You can do all you want in practice, but in game is how you get better, just in general. Dante DiVincenzo was also a great deal.
What was that one? I don't remember.
4 years for $50 million, so $12.5 million a year.
And he went back to the Warriors or
to New York?
Oh, to the Knicks. I don't think I saw this one. Was this today?
I believe it was yesterday.
Okay, it might have happened after I was looking through all of them yesterday. Interesting. The Big Ragu is headed to the Big Apple. So you said 4 for 50?
They're just rebuilding Villanova.
Oh, that's true.
It's
funny how
19, so it was yesterday.
Okay, yeah. It's funny how like the whole thing when they hired Leon Rose and like their whole thing was they were going to rebuild Kentucky basically. Like it was going to be Kentucky Central, but then now it's like a mixture. It's like a bunch of Kentucky guys and Villanova guys. But yeah, so that one was interesting. But back with the Bulls and Kobe White one, I guess I don't know where they're at in terms of how far they're below the salary floor.
Oh,
so they might also be doing that. Like that's the reason Joe Ingles got signed for 2 for 22.
How much he did.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I need to remember. like that's going to be a bigger deal for teams.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you see those shorter term deals, like the 2-year ones that are like a little bit big, like those are that's probably why they're signing those.
People are doing math of like, oh yeah, this guy's like not worth that, but he's not far off, so we'd rather give that money to him than giving
it to nobody, really.
Yeah, just giving it to someone that won't play because you have to get to that number to not get taxed to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, I'm trying to pull up Chicago here to see, and they're not updated, so I cannot check yet.
But yeah, so all those bad teams like Rockets, Detroit, Orlando, a lot of those teams, they're, we see them signing some players that aren't really stars, but they're paying them, some of them at least star level money. And, like the reason why that is because with this new CBA, they're implementing a tax floor. So I think it's either 120 or 180 is that tax floor that a team has to reach as their total salary. And if they're not above that line, then they're going to be heavily taxed. 165. Okay. Or is that the luxury tax?
That's not it. That's not it. I will find it.
I think it might be 120, and then 165 is like luxury tax, and 180 is like the
122.4.
Okay.
First apron is 172, and second apron's 182.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
From how I understand it, and then maybe this would be a good thing to like, that minimum salary obviously is how much people have to get paid. That's 122. The first apron is what the old luxury tax used to be.
Yeah, correct. I mean, it's still the luxury tax. It just has more to it now.
But there's more. Like the first apron is pretty much just the luxury tax thing. But then the second apron's when you get to the like all these fancy new rules. You can't sign a buyout guys. You can't use your mid-level exception.
Yeah, you don't get a mid-level exception. Yep.
There's like just a bunch of different things that second apron adds.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal, I personally believe that this CBA, its goal is to spread good, so then you can have 32 teams in the NBA.
Yeah, so I do think that's
or
the
34 reason. Or wherever they're trying to go to. I feel like 32 is kind of a magic number for right now. But who knows? But I feel like the West is a perfect example of how in 1 year the CBA already kind of took like what is a competitive West and just was like smush and just made everybody in this like scary area. It'll just be interesting. So for those that didn't understand what CBA is, it's just the collective bargaining agreement between the players and the owners, and the players try to get things on their behalf. I feel like the owners won this one personally. There's some guys that aren't as good that aren't going to get more money, but then there's some just weird changes that I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me, like at all. But
so why do you think the owners won it? I guess I'm confused on that.
They just like the aprons things and the minimum, that's great for players, but then like outside of that, like they can jam more games into a week. Guys can't rest as easy.
Those
like
things.
There's just all these things that like, for the worst or for the lower tier NBA players, like the middle bottom, it's great. For the middle level guys that are like not all stars but are now getting paid, Jeremy Grants, Fred VanVleet, like guys like that are good but not that, it's great for them. But there's just some things where I'm like, that's just weird.
I think
that's
it's more
pro player.
I think it's just kind of eliminating the middle class. Like it's taking everybody that's in the middle class and then ripping them to either end. like the people who are high enough in the middle shoot up to this top, and then everybody else gets minimums basically.
Like the difference between Fred VanVleet and who's another example of a guy that's on his level that just isn't going to get paid?
I
thought I had one in my brain.
I mean,
but then I just
didn't. Dennis Schroeder was who they signed for the. I mean, he's definitely below VanVleet, but it's not like.
And there's no perfect way we're going to be able to find it, but okay, here's one. Jeremy Grant and Austin Reeves is a bad example.
I think Jeremy Grant and maybe Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, I don't know if Harrison Barnes has gotten paid yet.
I don't think it's going to be that crazy. 5 for 160.
No, it won't be. It won't be that.
But yeah, like I feel like
D'Angelo Russell and Fred VanVleet,
or D'Angelo Russell and Gabe Vincent, because I kind of feel like I don't know. Maybe Gabe Vincent should be worth more this offseason than D'Lo. I don't know.
Because it's like the moments that Gabe Vincent was good were about the biggest moments that can happen, and then he was beat up the entirety of the had something. They never said what it was because it's the Heat. They don't really disclose what they were hurt with if they were at all. But he was like, yeah, that's a great one.
Because Gabe Vincent's on 11 a year and D'Lo's on 19 a year,
18.5. But yeah,
so
that's wild. And the CBA is and with the CBA also, is this just the tradition for a first year of a CBA? Is things just don't make sense? Because if we go back to the last CBA, there's a certain Russian that we all know and love as Timothy Mozgov, who just got buku bucks at the start of the last CBA. I believe it was with like the Lakers, but it was like 4 years, 65 million. Not that crazy now. But back then, that was like, what is going on?
Yeah, Nicholas Batum was another one that signed for a huge deal in Charlotte.
And Mozgov was doing great for the Cavs, but then they just were like, money, and it was wild.
Yeah, no, it was. But yeah, so the last one, it was a little bit different of a reason, I think, because the last collective bargaining agreement, we saw a ginormous jump in terms of the value of the league because of the new TV deal made with ESPN and Turner. And so with all that extra TV money, that has to raise the salary caps of all the teams, because those salary caps are based on a certain percentage of the teams or of the league's total value. And so then they decided to just add that entire, sum of money, adding to the salary cap in one off season, which is different than the way they typically handle it, which is they kind of gradually step it up. So there's not this drastic change. But for some reason, I guess I don't know the reason why, but they added it all in that off season, which basically literally made it so a team could have an entire another max contract on top of their salary cap. So like what the hard cap of what teams used to be allowed to spend, now just add another max contract on top of that. And that's what they can. So somebody who is right at the cap, like the Golden State Warriors, for example, were able to take on a max salary contract in Kevin Durant. And that wouldn't have happened without them stepping it up as much as they did in that one off season. But in this off season, I guess I don't know how much it's raised the salary cap. I don't think it's that drastic. I think they're trying not to make that same mistake again as well. So even if the amount is similar to what it was last time, they're not adding all of it in one off season. They're gradually stepping it up. And the main thing that's making teams sign all these guys like Fred VanVleet to deals where he's making in the 50s or 40s of millions, because it's 3 for 130, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like 43 a year.
Who are we talking about again?
VanVleet.
Yeah, 3 for 130 pretty much.
Yeah.
Very specific amount for some reason. Like everyone else is a nice round number, and then VanVleet is 128,539,845 for 3 years. But everyone else is a nice circle round number. Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's because it's some specific thing. Because was VanVleet technically a sign and trade?
I don't think so.
To get him the fancy money?
I think it was a max. What he signed for was a max.
Yeah, and so maybe that's why, because it's a max. That's why it's a weird number.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyways, so what was I saying? So the reason we're saying all those guys signed now for what they are is because of that salary floor that we have talked about already. And I think Fred VanVleet and Jakob Poeltl and Dylan Brooks, Joe Ingles, like those type of guys are like, I feel like you're going to see those guys getting a lot of money inherently, because these bad teams, they're not trying to accelerate their timeline too fast. They want to continue to develop the young guys that they're investing in and drafting. So they don't want to go out and sign a James Harden. They don't want to spend that money on a James Harden, because that will take away a lot of the opportunities and, development really for some of their young guys. And instead they want to go get veteran guys who know how to play a role and are more can fit in as needed, and just spend all that money on them so they can, stay above that tax bracket. So, it makes for a very interesting, funky salary table for a lot of these teams, looking at who they're giving all this money to. But I think it will help in the long run, because for those who don't know, the reason why this was implemented was to discourage tanking, essentially, because they don't want teams to just not spend any money on their roster and just, like, so save money and lose at the same time because they have a not very talented roster because they're trying to develop. And just while they're doing that, they're like, well, while we're not competing right now, why do I have to spend money on this team? Like, let's just spend as little as possible. Just get only rookie deals. Like, let's get only young guys on our team, And so the league is like, nope, you can't do that anymore. You have to spend this certain amount. And so I think that's going to help. And also just the new lottery odds, which aren't new this season. They were new last season. But I think the reason why you didn't really see the effect of them last year was because of how generational of a draft this draft was. So teams were like, yeah, the top four or the bottom four teams all get only a 14% chance at getting the first pick. But in this type of a draft, I'm willing to do that still. I think for most drafts moving forward, you're not going to see people or see a lot of teams as willing to just tank and fall out of the play-in to go be a bottom dweller because the reward risk to reward ratio is not very favorable at that point. But yeah, so that's the salary stuff. Talk about numbers. And I guess we kind of already covered the Rockets. The next team we can touch on, I guess, is the Bucks. The Bucks signed Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton. They both got re-signed.
And Jay Crowder.
Oh yeah, and Jay Crowder. What was that number? Was that?
It's a year.
It was a minimum, a veteran minimum.
Maybe.
Yeah, that would make sense. But they got Brook Lopez on a 2-year deal.
It is not listed the amount, so I have no idea.
Okay, should be on Spot Track, but
no, it's not. That's what I was looking at, and it just says a year in Milwaukee, and it just says estimate.
And it doesn't say a number next to that?
Percentage? Yeah, it just says nothing.
Yeah, you're right. Jay Crowder has no number. Very interesting. But anyways, but yeah, they signed Brook Lopez to, I want to say it's a $30 million a year contract for 2 years. And Chris Middleton got re-signed for, I want to say that one was a 3-year deal, maybe 4. But I know it was 34 million annually.
24 million annually.
34.
2-year, 48 million. I'm looking at Spot Track.
I'm talking about Chris Middleton.
Yeah, 3-year, 102, so 34.
Yeah.
Brook Lopez was the 24.
Oh, 24. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think both those guys are aging out a little bit. Like Chris Middleton, just with injuries and stuff, hasn't been super valuable in the past year or so now. So I was a little bit surprised to see that, him getting, because like just looking at Draymond's deal versus Chris Middleton's deal, like I feel like there's a lot of people in the league that would say that Draymond's probably, like, to certain teams at least, like to the Warriors, like Draymond might be more important to the Warriors than Chris Middleton is to the Bucks at this point. Yep. It's debatable. And Draymond's making $9 million less annually. So, I would have guessed we would have saw Chris Middleton go for more of a number like that. But obviously we did not. But the thing is, I don't think that's that crazy of a number out of all the numbers we've seen this offseason. So, but yeah, that's the Bucks. My team, the Nuggets, have done not much. We lost Bruce Brown right away. He went to Indiana for a bag. He's getting 22 and a half a year.
Which was expected. Like, if you were going to lose him, you knew it would be to be more money. If he was going to sign for that amount, the Nuggets, which was around, was it 13 million or something like that, or 14 million a year?
So what we were able to give him was 7.8 for this season. But then as soon as he signed that, the team was willing. Calvin Booth said that he would sign him to a 4-year extension worth like 15 to 17 mil annually. Okay. So it would be a 5-year deal for Bruce Brown, which, like, it would be a similar, I feel like it's a similar level of value to what he did get in Indiana, but he also might be betting on himself a little bit of saying, like, after this deal, I might even make more than,
like, I could get this again, or I could make more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And maybe he enjoys the changing of scenery because he's never really stuck somewhere.
I guess that's true, but at least he's been more vocal about how much he's loved Denver, like how much he's enjoyed just being in Denver and Colorado. Like, but Indiana, I guess, is, it's got a farm Western vibe to it as well. Which is kind of what his thing is now, loving wearing cowboy hats and listening to country music, which is just funny for just a guy from Boston to be like that. But yeah, so, and then your team, well, first, yeah. So what the Nuggets did do, because obviously we didn't get Bruce Brown, we re-signed DeAndre Jordan to a 1-year minimum, And then we got Reggie Jackson on 2-year,
Five.
yeah, 2 for
5.1.
10.
Pretty much 2 for 10.
I think it was like 2 for, yeah, something like that. So, which I think is a good, because like, obviously he didn't work out at all last year after the deadline, after being our buyout signing. But I think, it's just hard to to integrate yourself into a system that's been, it's one of the best in the NBA at the time, and like trying to compete at a really high level. I think, starting fresh with an off season to ramp up into the year, like I think he might be that replacement for Bones Highland, which is what his original the idea of signing him was to give us a backup ball handler, point guard, somebody who can run 2-man game with Jokic. So hopefully he's able to, reach that, type of play style and be able to provide us with like a pretty solid, at least, backup point guard. So Jamal isn't, overworked to the point that he has been. And then, so that was
Hard
the Nuggets.
Winners. Do we go to the winners? Oh, I guess we can touch on the Celtics.
Yeah, that's what I was going to toss over you.
Brissett.
Yeah, which congratulations. That's my guy. He's one of my few guys in the NBA that just, Syracuse guy, but not just a Syracuse guy. It was like he was one of my favorite guys at Syracuse while he was there. So happy to see him continue to get some opportunities in the league. I think he'll be a good rotation piece, at least good good, something good to have on your bench to bring in to fill in at that wing spot, can play defense, be physical. So he's a good rebounder for his size. His shot isn't
crazy,
ideal,
but it's reliable if he's open.
Yeah. It's not like a non-shooter. So, but yeah. And you said go to the winners for teams or who players who got the best deal. Okay.
Teams I think it's just a team won. And I don't think it's close.
Okay, let me think about that for a second. I also want to pull up because I'm just doing all of this based off of memory. Okay. Now let me take a look at this and see who Jacob thinks is the winner. I'm guessing it's a team we've already brought up.
Yep.
Is it the Los Angeles Lakers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just with where they're at and then what they got, like Jackson Hayes, great value. Sneaky, get some rotation, but don't need a lot from him. But you're not paying him a lot either. Torian Prince, it's a prove-it contract for him. Trying to maybe get a little bit more on his way out, whatever you want to call it. I love that one. Gabe Vincent, we've already talked about. Getting Rui back, and then Austin Reeves. What is the weird reason he couldn't get more?
So apparently this is what's known as an early bird max. The bird meaning they have his bird rights technically, but it's what's known as an early bird rights because he hasn't completed a full rookie deal yet in his time in the league because he was a undrafted free agent that signed a 2-way deal, meaning he signed a not fully guaranteed deal that was like half G League contract and half NBA contract. And so the combination of him only having 2 years of experience, him going undrafted, and him also being on a 2-way deal as his previous contract puts his early bird maximum at $56 million over 4 seasons, which is still, I can't remember the amount, but it's like 5%, something like that, more than every other team would be allowed to sign him for. So it's a very rare scenario where a player that, is so brand new in the league and has not gotten paid anything at all and was not drafted is worth a lot of money, is commanding that much money. So then they max him out at a number that looks really cheap for how he's played, but that's technically the most that he's allowed to sign for. So it's a pretty rare circumstance, rare scenario. This is the first time I even am aware of it, to be honest.
Well, just because a guy has to be like an undrafted, sneak under the radar, and then explode during that first contract into this guy that's worth a lot of money. But just looking at breaking it down further, you've got Reeves, Hachimura, Russell, Vincent, Cam Reddish. All of that is for $60 million combined. You have 5 rotation pieces
for a year, right?
That's just a year.
Yeah.
For a max and a quarter. Or max and a half, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. 5 guys that will play. Reeves starts. Hachimura's in their rotation if he doesn't start. D'Lo and Gabe Vincent are both going to play for you, and I think Cam Reddish sneaks in there sometimes. Jackson Hayes sneaks in there. I just feel like that's the best from people like right here because like Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet went for the exact same amount of money combined. Like per year, you take the Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks money, and then all of those other pieces the Lakers got, and they're equal to each other.
That makes sense.
It's different situations, but I think the Lakers maybe not like they got the best value when they got the best players, nothing like that. It's just what they needed. They filled all those holes and got guys back for good money that allows them to still do more or just deal with the crazy money they already had on their bankroll. So I thought the Lakers won. I don't know the team that lost. Mavericks, because they were fighting against themselves to get Kyrie, and then they had to pay Kyrie $42 million a year, but they got Seth Curry for garbage money, so they probably didn't actually lose.
And they were able to sneak away with signing him to a 3-year instead of 4 or 5, which is good.
Did Denver lose?
I mean,
because of what they all lost.
If we're just looking at free agency,
Jack White. I'm just kidding.
Jack White. Yeah. No. If we're just looking at free agency, then maybe, I guess. But at the same time, there's not much we can do with how little money we have.
With where you're at. That's 100% true.
But I think we did really well in the draft, though. So I'm still feeling good about our offseason overall.
You totally should. No, I just was saying that the Nuggets brought back some pieces, but losing Bruce Brown hurts a lot. Thomas Bryant, Jack White. Gut butt punches. I'm just scrolling through quickly trying to see if there's
another team that
was they were closer than the Lakers than I thought. I guess who was your winner in your brain?
Oh, I would agree with you on the Lakers.
Okay, I think it was the Lakers.
I think that's a really good one.
Cleveland, I would be okay giving second place.
Yeah, I like Cleveland's offseason. I mean, Phoenix did what they had to, which is signing a bunch of people.
I just feel like they did a worse job than the Lakers did.
Yeah, the Lakers had a lot more to work with, though, at the same time. Because
they had pieces they could bring back that wasn't Josh Okogie.
Phoenix was just literally signing minimums all the way around, which is what
that's all they can do.
All they can do.
Is Patrick Beverley to the Sixers official? Is that a thing?
I think so.
Okay, good.
I think that was a
meme. Yep, I made a meme, and I just wanted to see if I could delete it or not. Do you want to see it?
Sure. But also, I think the Utah Watanabe on a minimum is a really good deal for Phoenix. I don't know. I just feel like as far as a minimum level players go, Watanabe's on the higher end. I think we lost Jacob.
Is the recording still going?
Hello? What happened?
The share and the leave button are right next to each other.
Oh. Yeah, so it's still recording, but you disappeared from the screen for a little bit.
Here's my meme. I made this. It might have been the night Marcus Smart got traded because I knew it was going to happen.
Okay.
For those that are listening, it's the Drake meme, and it's Patrick Beverley on the top where Drake's like, I don't want that. And then when Drake's like, yeah, it's Marcus Smart. Because there was rumors, I knew it was going to happen. Because Marcus Smart is just they're not the same player, but they kind of are.
Yeah. So I'm confused on who Drake is in this scenario. Or is Drake the Celtics? Is who is saying yes and no?
No, this is from my point of view.
Just who you think they are as players.
Do you not get how memes work? It's I don't want Patrick Beverley. Marcus Smart's my guy.
Okay, but usually you would think that there was somebody was given the option between these two, and you're the person would be like, oh, I don't want that, but that, I want. It's just
it's everybody on the planet would rather have Marcus Smart.
Okay, I was just confused because I didn't know if there was a connection between Patrick Beverley and Marcus Smart in terms of where they were rumored to end up or something.
No, I did see a couple rumors that they thought the Celtics were interested in Patrick Beverley, and that's why I was waiting for there to be an official rumor, a Woj rumor or a Shams. They don't really do rumors anymore, but a real rumor, from a person. But that never happened that I saw. It was always just speculatory.
Mm-hmm.
I think Joe Walsh for Yahoo Sports technically said there was a rumor, but yeah. Anyway,
Joe Walsh.
Isn't that who it is? Right?
I don't know. I don't know who that is. I'm just saying the generic name again.
I think he's a Yahoo guy that used to be Bleacher Report.
Oh, yeah, perhaps. I don't know. I guess I don't really recognize the name very much. But yeah, San Antonio I thought did pretty good too, getting Trey Jones on a steal. I thought the Raptors kind of lost in this offseason or in this free agency because I mean they did get Jalen McDaniels. I didn't even see that until just now. But the thing is, I'm willing to bet that they did not realize that they were for sure going to lose Fred VanVleet when they signed that Jakob Poeltl deal. Because if you have Fred VanVleet on your team, Jakob Poeltl 4 for 80, I think is a good deal. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have Fred VanVleet on your team
and you want to be bad, it's not a great deal.
Yeah, I don't. Well, no, it's like just the style. Like, who's gonna you make Jakob Poeltl worth anything on offense? Like, they don't have any facility. Like, they got Dennis Schroeder, who's not a pass first guy. Like the entire Raptors offense was going through Fred VanVleet this past year or so. Like, it's like he's the only guy making decisions and hitting people in the pick and roll. But pairing him and Poeltl was like a match made in heaven. Because I mean, but like the thing is, Poeltl what he does on offense is roll to the rim and put some pressure on it. He's good at that. But in order to do that effectively, you have to have somebody who's good at getting you the ball to do that, and Toronto just doesn't have a lot of, I mean, I guess if Scotty Barnes really develops quickly
into a facilitator.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of his main skills for sure. But like, in order to be an effective pick and roll player, you also have to have like the scoring threat, being able to create your own shot, which he does not really have.
So I'm looking at the roster of the Toronto Raptors, and I think it's updated looking at it. Yeah. Scotty Barnes is listed as a power forward on Spot Track.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay. He's like a point forward.
Okay. There's 3 guards. Dennis Schroeder, Gary Trent Jr., and Malachi Flynn are the only 3 guards on the entire Raptors roster.
Yeah, and I don't think Malachi Flynn is somebody you're going to want playing minutes to do this. I mean, Gary Trent maybe, but he's not like he's another score first guy like Dennis Schroeder. It's just
it's just an interesting dilemma they have that they're going to need Scotty Barnes to just go full LeBron mode.
Yeah.
You can't ask anybody to do that. That's not fair.
Mm-hmm. And they got a new rookie head coach who I don't know how like inventive he is offensively. I'm pretty sure his reputation is more as a defensive guy. So, which Jakob Poeltl is great for that. He's a really good rim protector, a really good presence on that end. But yeah, the offensive side of his game is something that I just feel like you need a point guard like a Fred VanVleet to kind of unlock. And yeah, so I think that's kind of directly linked to what his value would be for a team.
And there's nobody really left that can do that for you
in free agency.
Yeah. There's just really nobody left. One thing I found interesting, the Sixers decided to not extend Maxey. Just seems like a weird thing to wait for. Is it to wait, see what happens with Harden, and then do it?
Waiting until next offseason, you mean?
Yeah.
It happens every once in a while. I think it's smart to do that, but
wait just to see, yeah,
because there's no reason you need to sign the year prior. The only reason that teams do that is to go above and beyond of like, hey, no, I'm not like we're super bought into you, player. Like show them as much confidence as possible,
which is like the anti-Morey way of they're just meat.
Yes, yeah,
not as bad as Danny Ainge. They're just meat, but it's pretty much they're just whatever.
Yeah, he's definitely has more of the business mindset than
the human mindset.
Yeah. But yeah, so Sixers. I guess we can get into that. The Harden trade request. Were you going to say something?
Charlotte Hornets restricted free agent Miles Bridges is preparing to sign a $7.9 million qualifying offer for next year, clearing the way for him to become an unrestricted free agent next summer. The Hornets and Bridges are far apart in extension talks. according to Adrian Wojnarowski.
Yeah. Has he had a trial or anything? I haven't been paying attention to his situation at all. Like, is he innocent? Like, why is he now coming back?
I will searching while you discuss
because
whatever.
If he was found guilty for what seemed like he did.
Domestic violence involving the mother of his children.
Yeah, video of him choking her and his kids watching and reacting. Yeah. I feel like...
Oh, he pleaded no contest, 3 years probation, no jail time.
Interesting.
He also must adhere to a 10-year criminal protective order for the victim, weekly narcotics and marijuana testing as restitution for the victim. And it is set for... Yeah, this happened in December, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably wanting the money like he didn't do what he did. And the Hornets are like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, because he was about to get a bag that offseason, last offseason, or whenever that was now. Was that 2 offseasons ago?
That would have been last offseason.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it would have been this offseason.
But last offseason is when he was going to sign the extension.
Yes. Because he would have been up this offseason. Why he is signing the very little baby contract.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I feel it just feels like a long time ago now, but I guess it was only a year ago.
It looks like it was. Well, he got tried in December and stuff. That's when all the things. So I don't know if it was the off season before. I'm looking for news, but it's only talking about the legal thing.
Like, how long has it been? 2 years now since he's played for the Hornets? Like, that's the question I'm asking. Basically, has it been 1 year or 2 years since he's been on the Hornets roster playing games?
He was charged in July of 2022, so I think it's just one.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
But this year also was the longest year ever, and so many things happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Oh, yeah. It also, going back to your Celtics, we didn't mention the Porzingis extension.
Yep. Which I'm
2 for $60.
What I thought was going to happen.
Yeah. It's not, I mean, it's good that it's not very long. It's pretty short term, and it's also less, a little bit, than he was getting annually already.
And this is an optimistic thing that I might have thought of before, but I never really sat and thought about it. He's never been on a good team. Those Knicks teams were okay.
No, the Mavericks teams were
Mavericks. But not like... I
mean, they weren't contenders, really, but they were good playoff teams, I guess. They were unfortunate in running into the Clippers back-to-back years, and Porzingis getting injured both of those playoff series.
But I would also... because it's Luka, who is the most suck all of everything, and I will just carry us to the promised land because that's our offensive plan.
Yeah, but he was less like that when he had KP. They kind of played off each other a lot more.
I'm just excited because you could argue that KP is going to be the third option.
Yeah, probably. I would say
unless Jalen's gone. But if Jalen's gone, we're probably finding a new second option.
Yeah, I mean KP he's a solid second option, even better as a third option. Yeah,
but I just think this is the best situation he's been in, and I hope that if we get exactly what he did last year on the Wizards, on the Celtics, I feel like we'll be fine, and I won't be devastated. The defense is going to haunt me for forever. Not his defensive, but just not having the Marcus Smart, our point guard can cover your center. Not well, but can. It's not like a nightmare scenario. It's not like throwing Steph Curry against Joel Embiid.
I mean, I think the most famous matchup of that degree was Marcus Smart guarding Kristaps Porzingis, ironically, for all those years. But but the other thing though with Kristaps' defense, I think that's kind of a really big thing that he's adding to the Celtics this year, because he last season was honestly probably his peak defensively. New York was really good, and then Mavericks, he was not near as mobile, and then all of a sudden with the Wizards, he was back to his New York self again.
Well, and I think that Noah Vonleh looked like a pretty good defender in the Celtics defense when Robert Williams wasn't playing.
Yeah,
just because of how, and I don't know how much that shifts with Marcus being gone, but the switch all the time, and then they let somebody kind of sit under and move like pretty much like the baseline guy on a 1-3-1, but it's not that because it's the NBA and that doesn't work in the NBA. But that's pretty much what Robert Williams got to do. Just move from block to block and like be a presence around the rim. And if that's all Kristaps has to do, I feel like he will be just as efficient as Robert Williams, but not a liability offensively because he can do more than just run to the rim.
Oh yeah, a lot more. And also, you can debate like what's better to have like a super athletic, undersized guy protecting the rim or like a 7'3" guy.
Yeah.
that is also pretty athletic, pretty mobile.
He's a unicorn.
Yeah. So I think as long as he stays healthy, like which I'm not expecting him to play any more than really 65-ish, like, that cutoff, like he'll probably be around that.
Well, but I think that the thing that's nice is like all three of our bigs, I don't want to play too much. And because we have three of them, none of them have to play a ton. Like Robert Williams III, Al Horford, and KP.
And Luke Cornett.
And Luke Cornett, sorry.
Is he still there or was he traded?
Yeah. Okay. No, I think he's still there. We lost Gallinari and...
Oh, yeah. Marcus Smart, and
oh my goodness,
player wasn't there?
Oh my goodness,
it was a young role player. I can't remember who it was. I think it was young player. It was somebody who was like on a minimum deal or a small deal. But
Muscala.
Oh, Mike. Yeah, so not a young guy, but still a minimum. Mike Muscala. Yeah. And those guys ended up with the Wizards.
No, they ended up in yes.
Okay.
Because the Wizards got Tyus Jones, Gallinari, and Muscala, as well as the 35th pick.
Mm-hmm.
The Grizzlies only got Marcus Smart, and the Celtics got Kristaps, the 25th pick, and a first-round pick, top 4 protected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Only top 4 protected, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. It's the Warriors pick, so it probably won't be great. Yeah. Technically, it's the Warriors pick, but...
in what year?
2024. Next year.
Yeah.
So it'll be a late first round pick, probably, unless something explodes in Oakland. But
yeah, it could be middle of the pack. Definitely could
maybe. With how the West is, if Steph misses any kind of chunk of games, who knows
what they were last year? 6 seed, around that range. We could see
that
similar
was with
season.
Steph missing time and stuff.
Yeah, which he has the last 3 years now, really. So
no, yes, not that it's not possible, but yes, if they have a healthy team all year, I don't think it'll be a great pick, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, you brought up Memphis a little bit ago with Marcus Smart. That reminded me of their signing. They got Derrick Rose as 2-year minimum.
They're just finding a bunch of like old head point guards that can like yell at Ja Morant to stop being dumb. And I think D Rose will be the good mentor for him. I think that'll be
like good cop, bad cop. Yeah,
I think that D Rose will be very good for Ja.
Yeah, and also just somebody to play point guard in those 25 games while Ja is out.
Like an actual person too.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
And he's going back home.
Yep. Which is where he went to college. At least he's from Chicago, but.
Oh, duh. I knew that.
Yeah.
That's why him going to Chicago was such a big deal.
Yeah.
And why the NBA draft is rigged.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he went to college with John Calipari
and Memphis.
Memphis, yeah. But yeah, so he was like really the kind of the origins of the NBA factory that is Kentucky. He was one of the first.
All because of Derrick Rose.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, without Derrick Rose, does Calipari get hired at Kentucky?
No,
probably
there's
no
not. Way.
Yeah,
maybe not. No way, but I feel like it's not a very high.
Yeah, it's pretty likely that wouldn't happen. Yeah, but yeah. So I guess we touched on Kyrie. Yeah, 42, I think, per year for 3 years. We didn't really go over the Harden trade, did we?
The Harden trade didn't happen.
Well, like the Harden trade request, like trade, like the concept.
And this is interesting. 3rd time's a charm. Is he happy after this one?
Probably not.
3 times to be in a contractual agreement to make millions of dollars, and not once, Like, once I get, you're the team that drafted you, you got the most money you can.
Well, at least this one, I think he requested the trade while he was not technically under contract because he has a player option. So he said, I want to opt into this player option, but I'm going to request a trade.
Sorry, 2 3/4 of a trade request.
Yeah.
Because it's still a trade request. He's like, I'd like to be gone. Now that I've said that and everybody knows, I'm going to accept this $37 million or whatever number it is. $34 million, whatever the contract is.
Yeah.
It's like, now that that's out there in the air, I'm still going to take 30-something million. Thank you.
I mean, I think he's like...
I think he's more likely to play through this season if nothing happens.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't think he'll be like Houston where he just started playing basketball terribly, like on purpose.
Yep.
Or get fat like he did in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think
Houston. He did that in both places.
Like, where he just like stopped caring.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy. Matt, like, oh man, that's just wild. But 3 times.
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah. He's
gonna end up playing for like 7 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Which is wild.
I mean, if he doesn't, find a place where... I mean, I don't know what his issue, his hang up with Philly is, if it's still the weather, because that was one of the reasons he blamed on the Brooklyn thing, which is funny because it was like, okay, you're going from Brooklyn to Philly, like
which is like just a straight line. Like it's not like you're going. Maybe you're even going north. I don't know.
Philly's south of. But it's like southwest a little bit.
But like I know that people like
only like an hour or two though. I think
it's like really close. It's like driving. I don't know. Yeah, I'll just look it up.
It's still a northeast city.
It is south. Like 2 hours south via a interstate. But I think people do trains.
Oh yeah, probably.
I think trains connect all of those.
Big
it's like a 4-hour
cities.
train ride, so that's not really convenient. For some reason, I thought trains just cooked.
Well, bullet trains do.
Oh yeah, I guess that's probably.
I don't know. Are they even in America yet? I know that's the people want to like. They're in Japan and stuff, but
I saw some. There is.
Oh, there's one in L.A. I'm pretty sure one connecting.
Plan to go from Vegas to L.A.
Oh no, I think it's L.A. to San Fran. I think up to the Bay. I want to say
there is bullet trains all over the place.
Oh, never mind.
But High-Speed Ground Transportation Act of 1965.
That's like probably where they were sitting in to plan. But yeah. Anyways, we don't need to talk about bullet trains.
This is what people come for.
Yeah, no. What were we talking about? Harden. Okay, so that's the reason why he's wanted to go back to Houston or Miami. He's from California, I want to say, right?
Well, people are actually from where they went to college, so he's from Tempe. Just kidding. That's
Arizona
not true.
State.
Wait, Arizona State's in Tempe, right?
I don't know. I know it's in Arizona. That's for sure.
No, it's in Phoenix.
Oh, it is?
Is Arizona in Tempe then?
No, that's in Tucson.
Am I just stupid? Is there a school in Tempe?
I don't know. I don't even know what Tempe is. I've never even heard of that city. We're really giving the listeners some great detours. But regardless, he's been asking to go to some warmer cities, and I think he's I want to say he's from the southwest area of like where he resided in his life before he came to the NBA.
I can just Google where James Harden's from. Like.
Yeah, but
he's from LA.
Okay, that's what I thought. It's like I'm waiting for this motorcycle outside my window to shut up. You would think being in the mountains would be
Oh, Tempe is just Phoenix. It is ASU.
Oh, it's like a suburb or whatever. Not really a suburb.
It is the literal suburb that touches Phoenix. It's Omaha and Papillion. It's just right there.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Scottsdale is the same.
Or Boys Town, kind of.
Glendale. Yeah, it is just Phoenix.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
ASU is technically in Tempe.
Yeah.
Sick.
So it's kind of like how the Dallas Cowboys, they technically play in Arlington.
Yes.
Yeah. But, and also the LA Clippers new arena is going to be in Inglewood.
And that's where the Los Angeles Rams currently play, Inglewood.
Oh, really? Did you know that the new arena that the Clippers are building they tore down the Forum, which was
Yep, I did know that because Steve Ballmer is
a
hilarious.
savage. Yeah,
He is literally.
yeah. For those who don't know, the Forum is like the classic Showtime Lakers arena that they played in for all those Magic Johnson years.
Banner outside of Kobe's.
And the Minneapolis ones. But
and the Minneapolis one. But like the Lakers, lots of them were in the Forum.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the Inuit Dome. Intuit, not.
I was going to say, I thought I knew the name of it, but that doesn't sound familiar.
I flipped 2 letters.
When you said Inuit, I was kind of like, well, that's kind of weird.
I think that's problematic. I don't think you're supposed to say it.
Yeah, you are. That's what they're called. I'm pretty sure that's what they want to be called. The natives of like the Canada. Yeah. Well, not even just Canada, but like the northern realms, like very north, not just like, you know what I mean?
The Arctic.
Not just like in Quebec, but like all the way up
like,
and
like the north.
I think the word you're not supposed to say, which I don't know, is Eskimo. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Inuit, I'm pretty sure is what they want to be called, which I don't think Eskimo is like, I'm not going to bleep that out. It's just a word that, yeah.
I think it's both fine.
Yeah, I mean, this is a weird conversation to get into right now, but I feel like most natives are
because there's a restaurant chain called Eskimo Joe's. Yeah. There's no way
there's lots of American native tribes that want to be called Indians. Like you know what I mean?
Wait, is Eskimo Joe's a restaurant or is it like yeah, it's a restaurant. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, we can try to stick on basketball to close this one out.
Okay, yeah.
But
the Intuit Dome.
Yeah, Intuit like TurboTax.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that covers that. I think the Clippers, they got Russell Westbrook for 2 years, $8 million, which I think is a pretty good deal for I know everybody's out there saying that it's like
Eric Gordon is a son.
Is he really? When did that happen?
He is. 15 minutes ago, and there is no money yet.
Okay. I wonder how much he signed for.
I will see if there is money, and I just didn't see it in the original tweet.
That's a great signing, I think.
That is fantastic.
That's one of those, like, you know, player who's good and like, a veteran that's like, hey, I'll go play for this team because it would work. You know, it's a good team.
Yep, there is no money.
Yeah, gives them a nice shooter off the ball. Gives them somebody who can also play on the ball if needed, which probably won't really happen much, but they have it if they need it. He's not quite.
It has to be for no money.
Probably.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing money anywhere.
Which I don't know if to most teams Eric Gordon at this point is worth much more than a minimum. I think some teams probably would think of him like that, but it's just because he's getting really up there in years. He's not near as like mobile as he used to be. He's just really at this point he's kind of turning into like a shooter who can be a steady ball handler, but not. I don't know if he's going to really be that effective like attacking closeouts and things like that. I think what Eric Gordon does do for you though is in that Nuggets series against Phoenix, how every time we would send two at Booker or Durant, whenever they would catch the ball would eventually get swung over to the open man who was in the corner. And that person consistently was bricking those corner threes because it was some combination of Torrey Craig, Ish Wainwright, and Josh Okogie. I think Terrence Ross, they tried him in there a few times, but none of those guys were hitting those shots. Eric Gordon is going to surpass probably combined all four of those players, how good of shooters they are. That is what Eric Gordon is as a shooter. So, that's going to be a nice addition, a good thing to have. Like all they need is a pair of hands that can catch the ball and reliably shoot a corner three. Like that's what their offense was missing in the playoffs last year. And that's what, ironically, that is exactly what they gave up to get Kevin Durant was Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and Jay Crowder, the guys that you would want there to play that role. So they're trying their best to salvage that. I think the Phoenix Suns, I'm higher on them than most people or it seems like most people are. I think that they are going to be up there with like the main contenders this next season because all they need is just some players around what they have, and they're getting that. So
now it's no longer a report officially. Miles Bridges has signed that qualifying offer, so he is an unrestricted free agent next summer, and is able to play basketball, from what I understand. I've been trying to find if there's any answers, like on what is going, and I believe that he's able to play.
Yeah, makes sense. So, yeah, Lonzo Ball, we didn't really talk about that at all. I mean, we mentioned it in passing, but him being out for yet another year is just kind of sad at this point. He just quickly turned himself into one of my favorite players in the league, just being like a guy, like just a perfect piece to add to a team that's like doesn't need the ball. He can still be still provide a tremendous value as a playmaker without even playing on ball, really, because all he needs to do is get like the ball in transition or even just like a swing over to him. He's like a touch passer. Like he's a really good connective type of passer, like to connect stars to each other. That's why I've said for a long time to you that like Lonzo Ball or Josh Giddey would be like the perfect player for the Celtics, because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, their value with each other, they have their own values, but like sometimes you can't get them simultaneously. You know what I mean? Because like when one of them has the ball, the other one's value is not near as good as it would be because like there's not a good chance that the ball is going to get to the other one in a great way. But having a guy like Josh Giddey or Lonzo Ball to connect those types of pieces would unlock a lot. And that's just what I loved about Lonzo Ball. And he turned himself into a 40% 3-point shooter as well. On top of that, which is like I didn't even mention that he's like probably his main strength is defense. So like it's just like a great all around player, and sad to see him struggling with injuries like this. Not being able to play basketball for his team for 2 years now. A little over that, really, because he missed all of the last half of last season before this one.
And then didn't play this year. Yeah. It'll be like 2.5 years. It'll be like Zion numbers.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was Lonzo Ball one. I can't remember if there was anything else we wanted to touch on here, but I think we have a pretty good episode stacked up now. So I think unless you have anything else, we can probably hit the road.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Check out the Patreon and buy me a coffee, all that stuff. Check out the shorts, still uploading one a day, at least on TikTok. Like there will always be one a day on TikTok. Everywhere else is kind of dumb because you can't upload, TikTok, you can upload up to 10-minute video and everything else has to be under a minute and a half, or for YouTube shorts, they have to be under a minute. And so sometimes if I have a longer one that I'm like, I can't really make this into anything by shortening it to that amount, I'll just put that on TikTok, and everywhere else has the day off. But so at least on TikTok, there will be a new short every single day. We just hit 1,100 now followers on there. So we're seeing numbers there shooting up. We're making it, Jacob. We're making it. And we're getting a lot of nice comments as well as hateful ones. But that just kind of comes with the territory.
Neither of us have Down syndrome, if anyone was wondering.
Yeah, that's been a common one.
Is it really? Is it more?
It's been
I don't have TikTok.
Okay, there's been at least twice now. Another person said
he think that we both do.
I don't know who he was talking about. This the second guy. He said, "LOL, bro is almost missing an extra or missing a chromosome."
Well, because I say some stupid stuff, and that's fine. That's disrespectful to Down syndrome people, by the way.
Yeah, but yeah, we by the way are not trying to be disrespectful or offensive at all.
What people say
people have called us this. So, but the first guy said it wasn't our takes. It was our okay. So I asked him, is it the takes or the looks? And he said, no, the take is fine. So I was like, all right, well, good to know. But yeah. But the one that we're getting a lot of hateful comments on is our most viewed video, and it continues to be it's the algorithm loves this one, which is the first part one of the what players should get rings. The one where you're
really?
you're a loser. That's lame. That's that one. And I'm like, I come off like I'm saying that all players who get traded should get rings, which if you listen to the whole thing, that's not really what I was saying.
Also, if you are, put this on TikTok. Yeah. You, random person that's about to come and that we either look like we're stupid, fair, sound like we're stupid, also fair. Listen to the full context. It would be greatly appreciated because I can handle the criticism, but sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it hurts a little bit. And then it actually doesn't at all. But just maybe, you don't even have to. Logan does a great job on YouTube. He breaks it down so you don't have to listen to the whole thing if you don't want to. Feel free to. But he does these great little segments.
There's also a part 2 of that clip that helps out a lot that's on the TikTok right after it. So
yeah, just look for context before you say I eat paint chips.
Yeah. This reminds me, there was another guy who DM'd me yesterday, and apparently because he doesn't follow me, it doesn't let me reply to him, which I didn't know was a thing. But I followed him because, I just follow a bunch of people who either view the video or like it or comment or something like that. I don't know what he did for me to follow him, but somehow I did. And he just DM'd me, nah, bro, I ain't following you guys. You guys don't know anything about basketball. Or he said something like that. And I was like, all right, well, have a good day or something like that. But it said it wouldn't send to him. But those interactions are just kind of funny to me. I like the original syndrome comment was immediately when I read it, I didn't even it didn't register as an insult. It was just kind of like, I was just so surprised that somebody would say that. And the way he worded it was just hilarious. So I don't know. I feel like I'm a person if you make fun of me, I usually will laugh at it. I'll usually think it's funny. So
if it is funny, if it's a crappy one, that's not as funny.
Yeah.
Just calling me fat. Okay.
Nobody's done that, by the way.
Really?
Nobody has.
It's going to start now. For sure. It's going to be if it's creatively calling me fat, that's funny. Maybe I don't look fat because you don't see my belly because that's where I carry all my weight. I'm actually 700 pounds.
There was a guy though that said on this video that guy we keep mentioning, the one with
you're gonna cut most of this out, right? I was just
probably, but
okay.
This one has over 10,000 views now. It's our most viewed video. The guy commented, "Both y'all suck in real life." And his name was Brian. That was his username. And
just Brian?
Yeah, and it was
shout out to Brian.
Patrick Starr is his profile picture. And I said, "Do I know you, Brian?"
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, TikTok has been a good form of entertainment for me recently.
Both y'all suck in real life. That's awesome.
But anyways, that's the episode. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. Stay happy, stay healthy, and we will talk to you guys in the next episode.
Peace.